Well, guys, even when you're on the road, it's hard to deal with. I'm Amber, and in 2017, I sold my house and everything I owned to live out my dream life as a full-time digital nomad. I started in a 26-foot RV, and within a year, I downsized into this 20-foot van. I've been traveling in an RV for the last 3.5 years around the United States, Mexico, and Canada with no end in sight. In September 2020, I was reunited with Scott after he had been in Canada for 6 months, and we started to travel again with each other all the way down from Washington State and the Canadian border to Arizona. This last week, we headed to Phoenix, Arizona for some errands before we kept up our journey around the southwestern states of the US. However, it came to an unexpected and abrupt end. Wow, what an incredible place over here. This is near Quartzsite. It's in Kofa. And wow, the mountains over there are incredible. How's mommy's girl? You tired? It's time to wake up, baby. Do you want to wake up? It's time to get up. It's time to get up. In my last video, I told you that Scott and I went to Phoenix and that some things changed fairly quickly and that my travel plans have really changed, and I left Phoenix and went to a place called Kofa, which is Kofa National Wildlife Refuge in between Quartzsite and Yuma, Arizona. And the reason is because we broke up. It's a very hard thing to deal with. Even when you're on the road, it's hard to deal with. I really tried to not cry. That's actually a good thing in a lot of ways. I mean, let's say it's the best for both of us. You know, for us, really what it boiled down to is we just wanted different things. And it was time. You know, we were really good together, actually. We had a lot of fun. At the end of the day, just had different ideas about where we wanted to go with our life and our travels. And that's fine. That's just how two people are, right? And neither of us were willing to give up what our own dreams are. So it makes sense. You want to find someone who maybe shares those same dreams, or at least they kind of mesh together so that you can still have your dreams and they can still have theirs. So that's really what it boiled down to at the end of the day. It is, you know, sad. If you guys don't know, I'm an empath, by the way. An empath is someone who feels very deeply. And gosh, dang it. Let me grab a tissue here. Oh, I don't have tissue. I have paper towels. Alright, I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. So an empath is someone who feels very, very deeply. I can almost feel people's feelings, and especially animals, have a deep connection with them. And so that's why I cry a lot. I used to think it was like a horrible thing, you know, because I would cry all the time and I would get in trouble for it when I was a kid. Just who I am. Alright, whew, okay. It's okay that we are different and that this didn't work. You know, I believe that people come into your life for a reason every day. And sometimes, you know, with Scott, we were together for you know, almost a year. There was some downtime in between when he was in Canada, and we tried to kind of rekindle all of that and see how things would go, and it just didn't work out at the end of the day. And it's okay. It is okay that those things don't work out, and that he came into my life and is now out of it. We're still friends, but we're just obviously not romantic. And so I think these are teachable moments, and you know, I have to dig down and figure out, like, what is this teaching me? Why did he come into my life? You know, when I got divorced many, many years ago, I was in my early 30s, it was a really horrible relationship for me in a lot of ways. And even when I left my husband, then it was the best thing for me. But it was still sad, you know? You mourn the loss, I think, of what you thought could have been. And that's what's happening with Scott. So, of course, I wish him all the luck in the world and happiness, and don't get down on him. He's a good guy. We just, again, have different things that we want. And there's a huge part of me that felt like I was starting to sacrifice maybe too much for the relationship, and I've done that a lot in the past, where I sacrifice myself and really think about the other person. And I know that in any relationship there are sacrifices, but in this particular situation, again, I was going to sacrifice my dreams and my travel. You know, he's Canadian, and it would be hard for us to do all the things that I really wanted to do with my travel and my business, because we would, if we wanted to continue traveling together, I would have to go to Canada at some point. And I just felt like I was going to start sacrificing maybe a little bit too much. So at the end of the day, it was just a little bit of a relief for me to, you know, not have to think about the sacrifices that I was going to have to make this year with my travels. I really wanted to do the East Coast potentially this year. I wanted to go to Mexico. We couldn't go to Mexico because he's Canadian and can't get back into the United States right now because of COVID. So there's just a lot of things going on. And I will say it feels weird to be by myself again. It feels very weird. I mean, we've been traveling together last year from January through April, and then again when he came across the border back in, I think, what was it, September, October, and we were seeing each other at the Peace Arch Park in Canada and Washington until he could get across the border. And so it just feels weird, you know, to be by myself again. And I've traveled solo for a long time now. This is almost going into my 4th year here soon. But, you know, I've done it before, and I'll do it again, and I'll get through this. So I came out to Kofa so that I could get through it. And it's not very far from Phoenix. And I just felt like I needed to remove myself from the city. I did all my errands and kind of get away. I had a ton of people who are part of my escaper family who knows what happened, and they reached out to me and said, you know, that I could come over to where they're at and hang out and get the support maybe that I need while I'm going through this. But I decided, you know, I just really wanted to do it on my own. I felt like I just needed to be by myself and kind of get through it. And I tend to do that. I'm an introvert. I recharge by being by myself. And I don't know, maybe it might have been good to hang around them, but I just felt like I needed to do this for myself and kind of figure things out, you know, what's next from here and what do I do. It's a beautiful place out in Kofa. It's desert, of course, beautiful mountains around, beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and a place to really recharge and think about things. You know, I always look at these times as times of challenges and opportunities for growth, and where's that silver lining? And so I'll be reflecting on that over the coming weeks to kind of figure that out and get my head on straight a little bit with it all. And I think, though, for you guys, this is a great moment for me to talk about what it's like dating on the road. And I know I came out with a video last year that talked about it loosely, about dating on the road and how it is difficult. You have some obstacles that you have to get through that you don't have dating in maybe a sticks and bricks, which I'm going to go into that in just a second. But I just want to share these things with you guys to maybe think of if you're starting out on the road and you're looking for love or dating or whatever you're looking for. But it can be challenging. Now, it's really up to you. I've thought, I've had people say to me, well, maybe Amber, you should come off the road if you really want to find love. And you'll find it in, maybe being more in a consistent location. That's just not really where my heart is at. I feel like if love is going to come for me, it's going to come for me no matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter if I'm living in a sticks and bricks. It doesn't matter if I'm consistently living in one city. It doesn't matter if I'm in a van traveling all around the United States and hopefully the world one day. It will come for me. And I just really need to be true to myself, right? True to myself and live my dreams and be happy. I wouldn't be happy living in a sticks and bricks, and it would show. It would show in my channel. It would show in my life, and I'm just not there yet. I still love traveling. So for now, this is what I want to do. Okay, so I want to go through the things that you need to think of when you're dating on the road. One is, how do you meet people? It is difficult sometimes to meet people, especially if you're traveling solo and you just want to be by yourself all the time. But if you get into a group like the Escapers group, there's a lot of people in that group. There's a lot of solos and a lot of couples, but there's plenty of solos to choose from. There are apps out there. I've tried them. I'm going to be honest with you, it sucked. It was awful. Half of them wanted one night stands. The other half were just weird. They wanted to talk to me about my life because I was pretty transparent on there in the app that I live in a van and I travel around the world. And it's kind of funny because as a woman, men look at that and they're thinking, oh, it's so cool. Like, I want to know more about it. I'd love to travel with her. And then if you're a guy, this is what I've heard from my guy friends who travel, when they're on apps and they tell women that they're living in a van traveling, they immediately are thought of as like the proverbial guy down by the river living in the van and like you're homeless or something. I don't know. It didn't work for me at all. I just met a few weirdos on there. One of the things that just happened with Scott and I is you have to think about your mode of travel, how you like to travel. Those things really need to be symbiotic if you're going to travel with someone and date them while you're traveling. Unless you're going to give up yourself or unless you're willing to change. Some people are willing to do that. I'm just not one of those right now. I just have so many things that I want to do, and I just feel like, again, if love is going to come for me, it's going to come for me no matter what. That's just how I feel. How do you feel? Leave me a comment below. What is your experience with this? The other thing to think about is the type of RV you have. When you're traveling together, if, Scott and I both had vans, so it was easy for us. We meshed in that area because we both had vans. We both could travel in the same way. So if you're in a van and the other person is in a Class A and tows a car with them, how does that inhibit your travel? It might not inhibit it too much, but it might also inhibit it a lot. They might not be able to go to places that you can go to in your van, and so you're going to sacrifice in that area. The other one is, I got this question a lot when I was with Scott. Are we going to consolidate our rigs? We said no because we're both in vans. It would be hard for two people to live in a van, especially because his dog was 105 pounds and I have Lily too. She's only 10 pounds, but still. 2 dogs and 2 people in a van, it can be difficult. So, you have to think of that too. Yeah, the dogs, think about that as well. Your pets, consolidating things. Are you willing to give up your rig and go into theirs at some point in time if it really works out between you guys? Or would you both sell and get your own rig? Something to think about. The other one is scheduling travel. This is something that came up with Scott and I in our travels, is one person may want to go somewhere and you may want to go somewhere else. And that's okay. You guys can separate. You don't have to travel together all of the time. But what if it's like super long distance? What if you want to go to the East Coast and he wants to stay on the West Coast? Then what happens? That's a really, really long drive. So you may be apart for a little while. is that something that you're comfortable with? Is that something that he would be comfortable with or she would be comfortable with? You know, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it can be very well true in that situation, but you both have to be comfortable with that and agree to those terms, I suppose. The other thing to think about is the person's financial situation. Now, I'm not saying, you know, ask them if they're rich or not, or where do they get all of their money from. I'm assuming those things will come up in the course of a conversation and maturing of your relationship. But you want to be with someone who has enough funds to travel at the same speed or pace that you want to travel. And that can be a hindrance, of course. So for me, I like to move around a little bit more sometimes, and sometimes I like to stay in one place for a while. And the longer you stay in one place, the more funds you can typically save because you're not spending money on gas and things like that. Funds comes into play also when you're thinking about all the extracurricular activities that you do. So if you want to go to museums or any place that costs money, does that person have enough funds to pay for all of those things and without breaking the bank or putting them in a bad situation? So there are people out here who like to travel and move about a little bit more and really experience life and what each town has to offer. And there are some people who are solely out here to just hang out in one place for a while. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. It just is a preference. It's a weird situation, the whole dating on the road, because we don't have, these are our homes and we travel everywhere. And so, you know, in order to date that person, you have to kind of travel with them a little bit in order to get to know them and understand who they are and be with them. It allows you to get to know them very, very quickly. And you see everything about them, their habits, how they clean, how they cook, what they do on a daily basis. It's a really great way to get to know someone, and a lot easier than when you're in a sticks and bricks. Then you get to find out if that's somebody who you really want to be with and who you want to travel with. The other thing is, what lifestyle habits do they have that may or may not mesh with yours? So look at, you know, as you're traveling with them and you're dating them on the road, what habits do they have that maybe just don't mesh with how you are or what you believe in? And those are things that happen just in a normal relationship in a sticks and bricks, but I feel like it's a little bit more magnified when you're dating on the road because they're there with you a good portion of the time. So you'll learn that one really fast too. This is the interesting thing about this lifestyle, is you really cannot hide who you are. And, you know, like when you first start dating in a sticks and bricks, you're always kind of putting your best foot forward all the time, and you're, you know, everything is rosy and beautiful and happy, but you're not with them all the time. And so you don't see all the ins and outs of their personality and when they get upset and angry and sad and happy, and, you know, how they treat their animal and all that kind of stuff, right? So those are important things to think about and look at. So you'll learn that very, very quickly when you travel on the road with somebody. So this is a really important one, and that is, how much me time do you actually require? How much me time does the other person actually require? I like to have my downtime where it's just me and I can focus on things that are important to me and, you know, practice self-care. And if you have a person who wants to be with you all the time 24/7 and that just doesn't jive with you, then that can be a problem. It's an important one because you don't want to sacrifice everything that you love and everything that makes you happy. And as an introvert, being by myself is what re-energizes me and gives me peace and happiness. And again, practicing those self-care things like journaling and meditating and doing my yoga and stretching and taking care of my body, which we'll get to that one later. But I have sacrificed that one a lot. But yeah, you want to think about that and put those boundaries down for sure in the very beginning. What's next after all of this? Well, I'm going to stay here in Kofa and hang out and just really kind of be. I don't want to make any plans just yet. I really want to just figure out, you know, what's next and, you know, where am I going from here, and think about, you know, what there was to learn from this relationship with Scott. I feel like there's anger in my heart, you know. I don't know what that's about. But I need to figure that out too. sometimes, you know, it's anger at myself. It's not necessarily directed towards Scott. It's maybe anger for the situation and, you know, wishing it was different. But again, I know this is, you know, the best for me. As sad as it is, you know, and as much as we got along, it's what needed to be done. Whew, okay, so, you know, I'm in pain from this, and, I need to recover, so, I'm just gonna stay here and do all of the things that feel good to me, and I try not to put too much pressure on myself, you know, just really consider what's happened and why I'm at this place in my life, you know. Probably won't think too much, actually. I'm probably gonna do stuff like, you know, sleep in the same shirt night after night and eat whatever I want. Anyways, I'll figure it out. Oh goodness, guys. Alright, so, well, that's it for today. I'm sorry it's such a sad note, at least for me. Alright, so, you guys, you know my channel is called Story Chasing. And I know, like I said, this is a sad moment. It's a story, right? Story chasing. Story chasing is about collecting moments, whether they're sad, they're happy. I preferred all the happy moments for sure. But, you know, it just, sometimes it's not. But I think you know me well enough, if you've been on my channel long enough, to know that I recover and I think about things and I look for that, ooh, it's hot in here. I look for that silver lining, and so I'll get there. It's just a process. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep story chasing.